Well, we have a guest that, we do not get, and shame on us, enough track and field on this program. And, to me, track and field, I ran track in high school. I don't think I was as fast as our guest to my right, to your left, that'll be coming up in a second. But, when you look at track and field and you have a guy that elevated to the top of his game in the Hall of Fame for NAIA, it's pretty impressive.
Oh,
Again,
yeah. Yep.
another stamp on the celebrity status, the special guest here at Sports Central.
Mr. Nick Dodson, welcome.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So the head coach of Southeastern's men's track and field.
Yeah, and men's and women's.
Men's
program.
and women's.
Yep.
So,
Oh, you get them both, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
and you've had a heck of a run there. So all the indoor, you've won every indoor competition nationally for NAIA since it started, and 3 Sun Conferences since you've been hired, 2018.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. Both our programs have been extremely successful, and we started our program from scratch in 2019. So, not a lot of people knew who we were, and we went from scratch in 2019 to national champions in 2023. So it's been a blessing. But both programs have been really good. The men are the ones that won the national championship. But we've won 14 consecutive conference championships, men and women combined, indoor and outdoor together, since 2019.
And you've had some remarkable women athletes on the track. So
yes, most definitely. We did it with our core group too. Like your Julia Roms and Namaya Simpson and Maya Ford, and a lot of those. I don't want to leave anybody off, but they were that core group. We kind of call the pioneers of the program.
Yeah, that's, a lot of people don't know about the track program, at Southeastern. I mean, such a good athletic program. Drew's done a great job, Mike Santani and the crew over there. Your background, I mentioned, I sort of alluded to it a little bit earlier, that, you were a track star, and a distance, I don't care if you're jumping over hurdles or you're just having to run it, is the 400 meter. That is just absolutely insane to me. It's just, I don't know what it is about that 400. It's just so brutal.
It is.
But you did it hurdling.
Yep.
And doing all that type of stuff. I mean, that obviously gave you a really good background into coaching. What works, what doesn't work, and those types of things. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I started hurdling, I think, around 7th grade, and and how I got into hurdles is I wasn't one of the fastest guys at the track for like the 100 meters and the 200 meters when I was coming up middle school, high school. And so, and eventually I did start to become as fast as those guys as we hit my junior and senior year of high school. But I kind of just stuck with the hurdles, fell in love with it, and enjoyed like the rhythm of the race. And so it got me a scholarship up to Shorter College at the time, now university. And I was able to qualify for the Olympic trials, and I ended up winning a national championship in the 400 meter hurdles.
Wow.
Kind of a different mindset for a track and field athlete. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, it's you're competing against others, you're competing against yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a bunch of individual performances consist to make the team. So it's kind of what you put in is what you get. We always talk about if you don't make any deposits, you can't make any withdrawals in our sport. So sort of like going to the bank, you don't put no money in the bank, you can't take anything out. And so that's kind of been our mindset within our program, and I kind of carried that over from me being an athlete over to me building the Southeastern program. And I think that's kind of really helped us kind of take off. But yeah, if you don't put much in, you're not gonna get much out of it, because the sport will expose you. You take a month off from training. I don't care if you won a national championship last year. The sport doesn't really care about that.
Yeah.
Doesn't owe you anything.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You got to earn it.
Yep.
It's, track and field isn't a participation trophy.
Oh yeah,
No,
this
you
is
earn it, but it takes thousands and thousands of hours to get to an elite level.
Yes.
And you've got this, well, yourself included, but now you've got this program at an elite level. How do you maintain that?
Just staying hungry, and I think our pioneers of our program have set the standard for us. We have a very strong culture in our program. We don't sacrifice our faith or our academics for a championship. Either we have it all or we don't have anything. And so we just talk about the level of consistency of what we're looking for. So now as we're about to graduate a lot of those pioneers. A lot of the underclassmen have kind of seen how we've done it, and we hoping that that will continue to flow as in the next class comes. They'll see that group in the next class, and so we've now put ourselves in the conversation. We're a national powerhouse now, and so we understand that there's a level of expectation that comes with that. But we're up for the challenge because we went from not anybody knowing who we were to now we're one of the premier programs in the country, and we want to keep it that way as we continue to help our student athletes reach their goals.
Tell us a little bit about that. If I was a student, and trust me, it wouldn't have been track and field for my sport, but if I was a student, sell me on the NAIA experience. I think a lot of kids sell themselves short. They think they're going to get Division I, Division II, and that's all they know. Sell us on that NAIA. I'm a fan. We talked off camera. So
yeah. I mean, I'm a huge fan of it. Was blessed to be able to be selected to go to the NAIA Hall of Fame, and what I love what the NAIA represents. As its character traits, and it's not just based off winning. It's based off how do you treat people. What do you remember for outside of how many championships you got? What type of person were you? What do they remember you as? And I think that plays a big part in, being able to recruit student athletes to fit the mission of the respective university. And that's what we do here is we recruit kids that, fits the mission of what Southeastern is looking for. And for our program, and I can't speak for other programs in other sports, but our program, we get Division I style athletes, and we develop them very well. We go to all of the big meets. We went to University of Miami this year. We've been to UCF and USF. We go to those premier meets. We went to New York this year. We flew up to Rutgers, and Rutgers hosted at the Armory, the prestigious indoor facility in New York. So we're going to all of those competitions, and we're holding our weight very well and winning a lot of the events there. So all that does is help us continue to get those same athletes. So you can get that same experience of being in Division I or Division II right here in Lakeland at Southeastern.
Well, and I think that from a recruiting standpoint, the Green Bay Packers, I use them as an example a lot. They're as interested in the athlete's character.
Yes. And
how they're going to fit in the locker room. How do they fit with the team? Not just their 40 speed. How much can they bench? All of that type of stuff. That's sure, that's important when you're competing on the gridiron. But as now you're recruiting, the job has to be just a little bit easier because you've won a national championships. You've got a successful program. With a college, as Jack was talking about and alludes to all the time, this just isn't the first time he's brought up what he calls the NAIA experience. That has to be a feather in your hat in terms of recruiting top-notch talent.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, my email has been skyrocketed here this semester. We won a national championship the first week of March, and so it's been blowing up, and it has been the last couple of years, but it's really taken off. So now we have a good problem by having people with a lot of interest, but then we're still trying to make sure we're finding the right fit for our program and our culture, but also the university as well. So we're having to weed through a lot of those to make sure we're getting the right fit, and we also want to be competitive at the national meet every year. Our goal is to always win it, and we know that may not happen every single year, but we always want to be in the conversation.
And just to throw a little bit more kudos his way, not just the NAIA Hall of Fame, but also qualified for the 2012 Olympic trials.
Yeah.
So a premier athlete.
Yeah, well,
in his own right.
Yeah, and I think the two of you kind of alluded to it, but developing, into an elite athlete and developing those athletes into elite athletes is a skill. It's not just something, I've got a bunch of fast kids, we're going to win. That isn't it. It's more than that. Your training program, just give us a little insight into how that works. I mean, a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah. So I predominantly coach the 100, 200, and 400 runners and the hurdlers. So that's my thing. And then I have a really good staff. Coach Harris coaches our jumps. Coach Lambert is our multis and throws coach. Coach Kurtz, who's our head cross country coach at Southeastern, is our distance coach. And so we all have a set program, and Coach Austin Kistner, who is our strength and conditioning coach, he's one of the best I've ever had the opportunity to work with, who has a really understanding for our sport. So it's a really a collective team effort. But just speaking on our level of training, I do a lot of things that you would predominantly see at the National Training Center, whether it's in Claremont or at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado. And it's very base oriented. So we do a lot of volume, which means we do a lot of long sprinting, because we feel that if you're in shape, you have a great shot. So we do that with our 100-meter runners as well. But it consists of a lot of low tempo speed as well that we do within our program. And so we, in the off season, we'll lift 3 times a week, opposed to in season, we only lift twice a week. But then we ramp up the load volumes in certain events so that we're prepared to be able to run rounds at the national championships, because you may have to run a lifetime best in the preliminary round just to make it to the next round. So we train to be able to be at a high level for each round. And then me being able to have some international experience as well, because I was the head coach for Team USA for Mexico for the World University Games back in October, and then I'll be leading our team to China for the World University Games in July. So being able to kind of have the international experience and learn from some other coaches as well, and kind of how they do things, I've kind of added some things to my toolbox as well.
Yeah, well, keep your head on a swivel. I haven't been to China probably in 4 or 5 years, but that's it's a really interesting, beautiful place. But anyway, thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate it.
You've just carved out a niche, and for yourself and for the team that is truly very impressive, and I'm really glad to have some track and field experts and VIPs here in the studio with us today. So, thanks again.
I appreciate it, and we're going to try to make a run at this outdoor title. We have our national championships for outdoors coming. We leave out May 21st, so we're going to see if we can complete the rare double. We don't see that too often at the national championships, so we'll see if we can get it done.
Let's certainly hope so. We'll be rooting you on.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview and want to watch more Sports Central, click the video below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.